What up? This is Ivan Bellman coming at you live and direct. Probably should have shaved. I broke my wrists recently, which is a whole other saga unto itself. Um, I'm recording this and I'm not really sure how long it's going to be. But I was sending out these long emails. I'm kind of notorious for them, and you can ask um, any ex-girlfriend or my family or anybody on the email list when my dad passed away just over 2 years ago. I was sending out these kind of long emails. I was getting a lot of emails and getting stories and stuff like that. And people stopped reading them just because they just, no matter how well written they were. Or maybe the older set, like the older set, like the books from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s, like were written in a much more dense, verbose way. Prose now is much more muscular and lean and mean, and unless you're like a hardcore academic or in the medical profession or sciences, hard sciences, you're just not gonna read that shit. So anyway, I thought I would try to switch mediums because I have a story to tell, and then I'm hoping that maybe this is the start of something else. Like I wanted to do a podcast on books and on religion and narcissism and codependency, topics that I'm really interested in. I'm also very into biohacking and whatnot. So I thought that this would be a good place to start. And maybe it'll just be a one-off. I'll just tell you my story, and it'll just go into the ether. It's about my dad and my friend, childhood friend, lives down in Georgia. He's coming up to visit soon. I'm really looking forward to it. But he's just lost his mother-in-law, and he's Russian. And I was telling him about the Russians leave a shot of vodka, a bottle and a shot, for the departed, something like 40 days after they die. It might be longer than that, but like in a lot of the Slavic and Mediterranean countries, the codes for mourning are really like widows, like they wear black. Like the husband dies, and they wear black for the rest of their lives. Yeah, some people wear black for a year. Anyway, there's this thing. My girlfriend at the time, actually, she wasn't really my girlfriend at the time. She just was with me because she took pity on me because my dad had died. At least that's the story that she's told me so often that I've come to believe it myself. But she is of uh, Middle European descent and therefore retains some of those Orthodox cultural customs. And I was telling the story to my family and to her, and she said, "Oh, well, there's things that happen on these days, and maybe that was the 40th day." So according to them, like, and my father died around day before Good Friday, so Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, I think, and then Easter Sunday. So so that the day they die, 3 days after, 7 days after, and then 40 days after. That's the those are the kind of markers. So the night before or the day before my father died, I was in Manhattan, and he was up in New Hampshire, and he was in the hospital, and he had been in the hospital for about 5 or 6 days, and I'd been meaning to get up there. And I was calling every day. I was very worried about him. I was calling my cousins. I have 3 cousins who are doctors, and I was bothering the shit out of all of them. And I was getting more and more apoplectic, and I bought him this plant. It was like a cactus plant. It's like supposed to be, or menthol, I forget the name of it, but it's supposed to be good for the lungs. And my dad had pneumonia. He also had a blood infection. And so the day before he passed, it was at the farmer's market, and I bought him this plant. And then I was living in Connecticut at the time with my homeboy Michael Tobin and his lovely daughter Midori. I was staying with them, and they weren't around though. So I was at the house looking after the house by myself, and I was driving up. I remember having a conversation with one of my doctor cousins, and just saying like, I was just really vibrating at a really high frequency. I was like, I have a really bad feeling about this. We got to get him out of that hospital. We got to get him to someplace that specializes in what he's got to treat him. And they were telling me, all the doctors were telling me, Ian, he has this pneumonia, and he has this, and he's not going to be better served at another place. But I just kept going. I was hammering on them, and I drove like a maniac. I got up to Connecticut at like 11 p.m. thereabouts, and my goal was to just grab something quick to eat, and throw some stuff in the car and just drive right up there. And I went outside and to get in the car, and there was a big fat full moon. And I thought of this song that my dad used to sing. It's a silly song. He used to sing all these silly songs when he would drive us around. And I see the moon sees me, down through the leaves of the old oak tree. Please let the light that shines on me shine on the one I love. Something like that. And this song just came through like crystal clear, and I was filled with this huge wave of peace. And I don't know what happened, but I just said to myself, you should go inside and get some sleep. And maybe it was a voice. Maybe it was God or Jesus or my dad or something. I don't know. But I went inside and I slept for a few hours. I got up pretty early, about 5 or 6, and I showered. I shaved. I put on a clean shirt, and then I got in the car. And as I was driving up, I got the call from the hospital that he had passed away. That he had had a seizure sometime in the middle of the night, and went into a coma, and then had died around 9:30 in the morning. And that was about 2. And people were like, "Oh, you're sad that you missed his passing or whatever." And I don't think of it that way at all. I think of it like that he spared me, or something did. Like, I don't think that I would have been very helpful to him or anybody or the situation had I gotten there, the night before. It would have been painful to watch. So I think I was spared in some perverse way. I got up there. My aunt was there by the bedside, and as soon as I showed up, she clocked out, and which is her fashion. Generally don't dance. She was there with the rosaries, and I hung out with my dad. I was waiting for my sister. The Irish generally don't leave the body. A lot of cultures do this, but I was waiting for my sister, who could not get up in time, and ended up being fairly mad at me, even though I stayed with the body until they basically booted me out of the hospital. They said, you know, we have to um, we have to um, you know, get him in, under ice basically. Uh, but I hung out with him, and the first thing I did when I was there, I washed his feet. He always had problems with his feet, and I was very concerned with him. But they looked very good. His feet looked very good, like they weren't dry or anything like that. And then um, I put like $5 in one of his fists, and I put a key. I think it's the key to my aunt's house. It might have been the key to storage, but I thought that those would be helpful things for him to take on his journey. Um, and oh, I gotta tell the story about Quincy. Maybe I should leave this for another time. This is already getting to be 10 or 11 minutes.